Uncensored, no holds barred talk. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is the Global Reality Radio Network.
Thanks for being here with us for another live edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves, and we are here with you tonight for another live edition of the broadcast. It is Thursday, February 9th, now into Friday, February 10th, 2012. Thanks for being here with us and staying up late with us again tonight for another late night show. I had debated whether or not I was going to do a show tonight. That's why we're starting a little later, and there just wasn't a lot of material today. And plus, I'm recording my. Something like the preamp was going in and out just then. You guys hear that? I've got to get a new preamp, man. They're like $200, and I don't have right now. That's what it is. I've replaced a tube in this thing, but it's going. I'm gonna have to get my backup rolling. I got a backup runner somewhere. I just got to find it and get it rolling again. But I will remember to do that between now and tomorrow. But anyway, yeah, I actually no, scratch that. I got to do that between now and before noon tomorrow. So yeah, mental note. Let me write that down. I need to switch those out before I get ready to do that show tomorrow. So yeah, I'll be taping. Rescheduled taping 2 hours tomorrow for Red Ice Radio, noon Central Standard Time. It's going to be a good show. Look forward to doing that, and then that'll be I guess put up for download in a few weeks. They usually have a backlog of shows, and they put out a few or one or whatever it is, a couple a week. So we're looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to reaching a whole lot more people with this information from the new film. I'm looking really forward to that because they have a big listening audience over there, and it really last time it definitely did some help. I mean, we definitely saw an uptick in listenership and an uptick in people paying attention to my work. So no reason to think that won't be the same way this time, probably even more so. And I've been getting a lot of emails. People have been really looking forward to this and wanting this, so that's going to be great. TheGlobalReality.com is my website. It's TheGlobalReality.com. Emails, if you want to email me anytime, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. That's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. And you can send in emails over there for me to read on air or not read on air, whatever you want to do. And please send those over there. I'd love if you want to send them in tonight during the show for me to read, fine, you can do that as well. I'd love to have those. I don't think I have any on the back burner to read tonight. But we do have a few news stories to get into. Not a whole lot tonight. We'll get into some, and then we'll get into our continued reading. I'm really looking forward to this. I've been enjoying the past few shows, the reading from End of Days, Zachariah Sitchin. I feel like we've gotten a lot of, a lot more perspective on a lot of things. And I appreciate everybody out there. I know I talked about it last night, but I do appreciate everybody out there who's been sending emails about the audio books and sending emails about the readings just every day now. I mean, and these are ones that I read months ago, not just the current stuff. I'm getting emails about, William Bramley's The Gods of Eden. That we were reading that a year ago. So emails still coming in about that. Emails still coming in about Lost Book of Enki, Emerald Tablets of Thoth, all that stuff. So you're welcome, and it's my pleasure to do it. And I've been enjoying it lately. The stuff we've been getting into in this reading has for me, it's put a lot of clarification on a lot of things, and especially a lot of the stuff. Some of you people out there who are newer listeners who haven't been listening to the show very long and have come in from listening to these audiobooks. If you've listened to the Gods of Eden or the Lost Book of Enki or any of those, and you're just now coming into the current reading for the End of Days. Most of it is up on YouTube. All of it should be up there in various forms from the different shows, but there are individual videos up there on YouTube right now that people have made that are the End of Days stuff cut out and put with a nice background graphic with my picture and the logo and everything. It's just awesome. So awesome for those people that do that, and I can't tell those people how much I appreciate what they do and how much I love them and how much what they do helps my work. And really, you guys are awesome for doing that. That's the kind of stuff that we need more of, man. Just people just doing stuff just because it needs to be done. No other reason. Worrying about the outcome, not being attached to the outcome so much, Just do something because it's the right reason to do. Don't worry about the outcome or how it's going to come out. You can't be attached to that. That's going to hold you back forever. Do something nice. Be involved with this stuff. Oh, let's see the preamps being weird again. So strange how it just decides to do this at weird times. But yeah, that's what it's all about. Oh man, this cold is finally going away. It's still kind of lingering here in the background. This preamp thing's driving me crazy. I wish this thing would just be nice. Play along for once. Quit being a dick, you preamp. Play nice. Anyway, theglobalreality.com is my website. That's theglobalreality.com. You can get your DVDs and Blu-rays of The Secret Volume 2 up there right now, and I appreciate everybody who has ordered those. If you haven't gotten yours yet, be patient. It will be on the way very soon. And also at my website, we have all kinds of stuff up there from the news, lots of great news up there that Manhunter keeps updated for us. We've got archives of the shows, all my other documentary films and online films and stuff like that I've worked on. Those are up there, as well as video clips like I talked about that people make from the show, YouTube clips, a bunch of those are up there. All the audiobooks I've read are up there in audiobook format that you can download for free. Lots of awesome stuff up there at the website, theglobalreality.com, so definitely continue to tell people about the website. I like to make sure I mention it as much as I can on these broadcasts now. I have to do it more than I used to because, it used to be, it was just, you came to my website and you listened to the stream and you downloaded the show off my website and that was it. So people, you know what I mean? So I didn't really have to say the website as many times because people already knew the website because obviously that was where they were coming to get the shows. But now that people are making copies of the shows, which is great, and spreading it all around YouTube, I found that there's been people, and this has been not just happened once or twice, but a whole bunch of times that I've seen, there started to become this thing happening where people thought I was just on YouTube. You know what I mean? Just like some guy that was just putting up YouTube videos or something. They didn't know there's actually a network and that I actually make films and, a whole much larger thing connected to that. And so a lot of people were really, I didn't know there was, a website. Oh, I didn't know there was a radio show and a stream. I thought this was just, people putting up YouTube videos or whatever. So, that's kind of a problem because then people don't know how to find us and how to find where to buy the documentary films or how to support our work or anything else. So, I just want to say that for people and make sure that I repeat that for the people out there that are listening on YouTube and other places. I have to keep that in mind now because it's just amazing with the technology and with the way that everything's spreading now. Your information has the ability to spread and get out there in more ways than just how you originally intended it. I mean, there are people out there who've taken stuff from my shows and made their own videos out of it. They've gotten more hits than my own movies have. Literally. There are a few out there. So, that's one thing I've learned is that it's not always, you're not always the owner of the vehicle that is delivering your message. You know what I mean? You may be the owner and proprietor of the message and the owner and proprietor of what your specific thing is that you do, like me and what I do here, but you're not the owner of the vehicle which is going to take that to people. You never know what form or shape that vehicle is going to take on. And it's certainly, my stuff's definitely taken on the shape of things where, I mean, people, I see stuff all the time just going like, put my name into YouTube. And I all the time I find videos of stuff that people have made from clips from the show that I've never seen before. I put one up last night that was from a show where I was talking about the Alumbrados Illuminati stuff, and somebody made a great little slideshow thing to go with it and put it up, and I thought it was fantastic, and really you have no idea how much reach something like that has, because you're taking something that I'm already doing, I'm already putting it with the voiceover form, and then you're adding your own creative spin on it and adding to that by adding pictures or video and whatever else. And I love to have the open source thing. I mean, like people always just put my name on there and say, they put my website on there and say where it's from, which is all I ask. And, it ends up being one of those things where your stuff is taken on a whole new form and reached a whole other set of people that you weren't going to be able to reach and get to on your own. And that's just so fantastic. And for me to keep seeing that happening all the time, man, I tell you what, it gives me a lot of hope. It gives me a lot of hope that people are not going to go as quietly into the night in all this as we may think they may. I mean, it doesn't look good. I'll say that, between the phony patriot movement, the phony truth movement, and people getting roped into that, and the Ron Paul stuff, it doesn't look good. But that's not everybody. That's only going to represent a certain portion of the population. And some of those people you're not going to be able to help anyway. So that's why, I felt it was important to keep trying to point out the connections of these right-wingers to the priest class and to the establishment itself. And that's why I'll keep trying to do that in whatever way I can. I've tried to do those things in various different ways, but we just hadn't had the funding to go and do, like, go and cover some of these events. But so long as there's an ability for me to still cover these things and expose them, I will, so long as there's material, But I felt compelled to go start digging deeper into other topics and digging deeper into these underground structures and things that I think are going to play a huge part in whether or not we go quietly into the night or not, honestly, because we either ask the tough questions or we just go along with what they're telling us is the truth. And I don't know about you, but I'm not going to do that. So let's see what we have in the news here tonight to talk about. I don't know whether this is fake or whether this is... I find it interesting that lately with all this... just synchronistically, as I've been researching some of this inner Earth stuff and looking at the evidence of this, and then, of course, this Antarctic expedition now, we've got a new story about that tonight we'll get into. Some updated information. But I've just been seeing, it just seems like some of the stuff with surrounding inner Earth has just been presenting itself to me more and more lately. And I haven't looked into this, but I mean, I'm just going to say on the face of it, to me, it looks like it's probably just, a hoax. But I just find it interesting, hoax or not, that right here, as we start to see all this inner Earth talk, that we start to see video of, allegedly a woolly mammoth being found alive in Siberia. And of course, that's interesting, of course, because that's, around Altai area and the area where supposedly there's entrances into the inner Earth. The British tabloids are having fun today with two videos reportedly showing mythical creatures at play in otherwise ordinary settings. In the first video, a large creature is seen crossing a river in the Chitoka Autonomous Okrug region of Siberia. The Sun reports that a Russian government worker shot the video and claims it shows a woolly mammoth, a creature whose heyday passed more than 10,000 years ago. And while this is almost certainly not an actual mammoth, there is some historical evidence to tantalize cryptozoologists. It turns out that some mammoths actually did survive beyond the extinction of their brethren, living on Wrangel Island off the coast of Siberia until about 3,500 years ago. But if you watch the video closely, you will see that what is supposed to be the creature's trunk, or possibly its tusks, appears to be quite flaccid. Some viewers speculate that the furry creature in the video is nothing more than a bear carrying a large fish in its mouth. Others have surmised that it is an elephant, the mammoth's genetic cousin lost in the woods. On the second video, it has more arcane roots and makes even more dubious claim. In this video, we see an object slithering through the ice in the Jökulsá River in Iceland. If you believe everything you hear, this is definitive evidence of the lagerflot, a worm of local legend. As the Telegraph explains, the lagerflot has its roots in an old Icelandic myth. As the story goes, a man once attached the worm to a golden string, hoping it would cause the ring to grow in size. But when he returned the following morning, it was the worm that had expanded to monstrous proportions. Leaving the ring attached to the worm, he threw it in the Jökulsá River, where it continued its exponential expansion. Most likely, it's nothing more than a piece of flotsam being pulled downstream by the current. After all, would even a mythic worm really be trudging through the ice on the surface of a frozen lake? So, and then they bring, if you need a dose of real ET on Earth type news, catch up on the Russian scientists. So, interesting article here. They don't really, this is, it just seems like all of a sudden they're drawing attention towards these mythological creatures, or as if they're prepping us for, somebody coming back with stories of these things, so they have a precedent to say, well, see, people were just making fake videos of this recently, so this is probably a fake. Almost like, possibly this Russian team maybe actually did see. Admiral Byrd reported seeing woolly mammoths and things like that when he went into Inner Earth. So it very well could be possible that this expedition in Antarctic, if you've seen the videos and seen the maps, folks, they're within just a few miles, maybe not even that, of what have been identified as entrances into Inner Earth, Agartha. And Hitler had apparently found it and found a base there and had a submarine that could make it down into these Inner Earth tunnels and all this stuff. But it almost seems as if, here's you know what I mean? Setting the precedent of having these fake videos of things like woolly mammoths. So later on, if they're, this Antarctic team comes back with reports of, being near the Inner Earth portal and seeing woolly mammoths and this stuff, they can just say, blah, 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 blah. It's probably fake like this. Triumph, after 2 decades of drilling in the most inhospitable place on Earth, Russian scientists return home with a barrel full of water from alien lake untouched for 20 million years. The scientists returned 40 liters of water to the surface, water isolated from earthly life forms since before man existed. The scientists will later remove the frozen sample for analysis in December when the next Arctic summer comes. They have now left the site. The scientists rebuffed claims that their drilling could have contaminated the site, a body of water which has been in isolation for 20 million years. The Russian researchers have insisted the bore would only slightly touch the lake surface, and that a surge in pressure will send the water rushing up the shaft where it will freeze, immediately sealing out the toxic chemicals. Lurkins had about 50 cubic feet of kerosene and freon poured upon the surface from the bore shaft, proof that the lake water streamed up from beneath, froze, and blocked the hole. It's like, yeah, but you still left that stuff behind, right? Regardless of whether it freeze and blocked the hole, they still left that. Oh, man. It's like exploring another planet, blah, 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 blah. Well, yeah, I still think this whole thing was a front for, I think they did exactly what they were supposed to do, which is go there, identify this entrance, find whatever the Hitler left there, and, get the water as the front story, and then, get the hell out of there. I think the whole thing was a front for something else, especially with the Russians behind it. 40% of high school students at a Colorado high school have tested positive for tuberculosis. That seemed a little bit odd to anybody else, considering tuberculosis is not, the kind that these kids have, latent TB, unlike active TB, it's not contagious. That's just odd. 40% of kids at one high school all came up with tuberculosis, the dormant kind. I mean, that's just some classic, bioweapons testing on the public stuff right there. I mean, there's just no other explanation for that to me. I had talked about last week with some of this research into the rock wall and this scientist from the University of Texas, Dr. Wolf Goss, who had done a paleomagnetic survey on the rock wall, and this was the guy that got so freaked out from his findings that he won't allow his findings to be published until after he's dead. Well, I had gone and done some research on what, in a scientific setting, in what situations would you use a paleomagnetic survey, and what information would you be able to glean from that, and what would be the purpose and situation to use it. And I did a lot of research and went, did all kinds of looking at studies and college websites and stuff and academic stuff on paleomagnetic surveys, and I came up with the two big things it's used for, the only things I could find, and that is to measure the rate of continental drift. Now, I've talked about that quite a few times. It seems that I've seen a lot of information, and in a lot of the archaeological information, we've got, African artifacts and African type artwork found in places in South America. 3,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago. And it seems that yes, our countries, in the Pangea type thing they taught us in school, one big supercontinent was actually not as far back, 100 million years as they tell us. And so I thought maybe that was what, Wolf Goss had found, and maybe it was. I can't say for sure. Maybe he had found, through this information, that that indeed was the case. Or the other thing they use it for is to determine the cycles and the timelines of pole shifts. Every time there's a pole shift, these rocks have an electromagnetic signature that's left behind. And when you study that using a paleomagnetic survey, you can determine the time length in which the pole shift happened. And we've been due for a pole shift for quite some time. So it's either one of those two things that he discovered. I don't know which, but interesting here, they're saying that this could happen in another 200 million years, where they're saying now that we may see that supercontinent reform again. But they're saying, it won't happen for another 200 million years. Well, that's what they say, but I mean, how do we know these guys are telling us the truth? Maybe that's indeed what the rock wall indicates. Maybe that's why they're so scared of it. Not the fact that it's this ancient archaeological site, but the fact that its age and digging down and looking at the rocks and analyzing them tells us things that the intelligentsia is not giving us explanations for. In 200 million years, the Earth will look very different, with the latest research predicting that a supercontinent called Amasia, America and Asia together, will form right over the North Pole and not over the center of Africa as previously thought. North and South America will crunch together, with the Caribbean Sea and the Arctic Ocean disappearing, and while Asia will join with the Americas, according to a study by Yale University scientists. After those water bodies close, we're on our way to the next supercontinent, said lead researcher Ross Mitchell. You have the Americas meeting Eurasia practically at the North Pole. The results of the study were published this week in Nature, with the paper explaining that the formation of Amasia is between 50 and 200 million years away. That's a wide swing, though, Between 50 million on the low side and 200 million. I mean, come on. That tells you they don't fucking know. It could happen tomorrow, as far as these guys fucking know. Because that's a big jump. Well, it may happen in 50 million years. It may happen 200 million years. That's a wide swing. All this stuff, they never give us the straight dope on any of this stuff. It's all lies and horse shit. Google is now going to pay users to browse for their websites, and they're going to pay people for web browsing $25 up to $25 in Amazon gift cards. but they get to watch every link you click and track everything you go and do. Not that they're not doing that already, but, you know, they have a lot more ability to be able to connect dots on things and have actual people looking at it, not just computers, whenever you're, you know, allowing that stuff for, you know, in exchange for cash or prizes. Just an absolutely ridiculous Big Brother attempt here by Google. Man, oh man, oh man. Entire genome of extinct human decoded from fossil. Researchers have now been able to sequence the entire Denisova genome using 10 milligrams of a finger bone fragment that was found in the Denisova cave in southern Siberia. Now, this is supposedly this cave, which is... Now, here's what's interesting. I've been talking about this idea that, you know, mankind actually was created by these people that didn't come from outer space, but actually came from within the earth, and they concocted this space story so that people would never discover where they really came from. Because, you know, I mean, think about it. Where do they always say man originated at? Cavemen, correct? And so we believe that they just went and found caves because that's the only shelter they could find, and they weren't smart enough to create shelter on their own. So they just went into caves. See, I don't believe that anymore. I think that's been hogwash. I think it's more appropriately that the reason that men originated in caves is because they were coming out of these vast tunnels from inside of the earth, and they were coming out in caves, and that's where they were being dwelled at. And now they found that all of the Native Americans have common ancestors that come exactly from this area in Siberia, from the cave in Altai, which again, Altai and Siberia, right there where it's said to be Shambhala and the inner portals into the inner earth. In 2010, Savanti Pabo and his colleagues presented a draft version of the genome from a small fragment of a human finger bone discovered in the Denisova cave in southern Siberia. The DNA sequences showed that the individual came from a previously unknown group. Listen to this, folks. This is some Anunnaki stuff right here. Wow. This individual they got the finger bone from came from a previously unknown group of extinct humans that have become known as how do you pronounce this? Give me just a second. Denisovans? Okay. Denisovans. Together with their sister group, the Neanderthals, Denisovans are the closest extinct relatives of currently living humans. The Leipzig team has now developed sensitive novel techniques which have allowed them to sequence every position in the Denisovan genome about 30 times over using DNA extracted from less than 10 milligrams of the finger bone. That doesn't take much. In the previous draft version published in 2010, each position in the genome was determined, on average, only twice. This level of resolution was sufficient to establish the relationship of the Denisovans to Neanderthals and present-day humans, but often made it impossible for researchers to study the evolution of specific parts of the genome. The now completed version of the genome allows even the small differences between the copies of genes that this individual inherited from its mother and father to be distinguished. This Wednesday, the Leipzig group will make the entire Denisovan genome sequence available for the scientific community over the internet. The genome is of very high quality, says Matthias Meyer, who developed the techniques that made this technical feat possible. We cover all non-repetitive DNA sequences in the Denisovan genome so many times that it has fewer errors than most genomes from present-day humans that have been determined to date. The genome represents the first high-coverage complete genome sequence of an archaic human group, a leap in the study of extinct forms of humans. We hope that biologists will be able to use this genome to discover genetic changes that were important for the development of modern human culture and technology and enabled modern humans to leave Africa and rapidly spread around the world, starting around 100,000 years ago. Well, whatever they're going to find, they ain't going to let us know about it because they're going to find some things that are going to go, oh, shit. The group plans to present a paper describing the genome later this year. but we want to make it freely available to everybody already now, says Papa. We believe that many scientists will find it useful in their research. The project is made possible by financing from the Max Planck Society. Where have I heard that name before? The Max Planck Society. And it's part of efforts since almost 30 years by Dr. Papo's group to study ancient DNA. The finger bone was discovered by Professor Antonio Dravaco and Professor Mikhail Sunkov. Those people were existing around this 500,000 years ago. How about that? They found, giant skeletons and things, skeletons of giants around areas around the rock wall. How much would that be worth to the Max Planck Society? How much would that be worth if I could produce that and these guys could pull DNA out of that? Probably be worth a lot, wouldn't it? Back right now. Well, the stream is still going. The archive is still going, so I'm not going to stop talking. And everything that you missed, you'll hear on the archive, so don't worry about it. Yeah, hopefully you can still hear me. I don't know if you can now, but if you can't, you'll hear it on the archive. So this is probably going to start. This is probably going to start now, so that means we're going to have two separate archives, but that's okay. So you guys are going to have to download two files when you download this archive. There's going to be two links. Able to send data fast enough. That shouldn't even be an issue. No, hard drive's not full. I got the other hard drives separately for the archives. I got that a couple months ago. So it wouldn't have anything to do with that. This is totally on the stream side. This is on the side of the stream. The stream is being attacked, is what I'm trying to tell you. You couldn't hear that because it was cutting out. I don't know if you can even hear me now, but the stream is absolutely under attack. We're absolutely under attack. I don't know if you heard me say that before because it was cutting out, but let me say it again. We are absolutely under attack. They're attacking the streams right now. I guess it's because of the stuff I was just getting into that last article. Like I said, I guess the archive will keep going. It'll just be in two different parts. So I don't know what to do. I've known this is happening for a while, but this is the first time it's been this bad tonight. Now it's saying unable to log into the server. Oh, man. I'm going to have to play some music. We're going to play some music, and I'm going to try and see if I can restart the stream or something. And then we'll come back and try to resume the show here, folks. So just sit tight and stay with us.
Uncensored, no holds barred talk. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is the Global Reality Radio Network.
All right, back here with you on the Global Reality, right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. I apologize to our stream listeners. We are currently having some sort of very sophisticated attack. We used to have these all the time on the old stream. I pay more now a month for backup servers and all that stuff, and those are all under attack as well. So I guess it's when they start getting into that inner Earth stuff and Anunnaki stuff, rock wall stuff, that's what they don't like. But the archive should be okay. So we're going to keep rolling. I apologize to our live listeners cutting in and out, but you'll just have to hit the archive. It'll play more after this, but. I don't even know what. See, that's what the whole purpose of these attacks is, because it gets you thrown off on your train of thought and what you're thinking about, and you get derailed and you can't get back to it. If that was an intentful attack, which I think it was, they definitely achieved their purpose there. So thank you very much, cocksuckers. Appreciate that, fucking spooks. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Anyway, theglobalreality.com is our website. Our support and donations lately have been abysmal. We didn't reach our goal last month to be a financier. Please help us out there if you can. TheGlobalReality.com. We also have the monthly subscription and the P.O. Box as well if you absolutely can't use PayPal. And that's how you support our work. Commercial free, uncensored. That's how we do it. Thank you so much. Chapter 9, The Promised Land. Zechariah Sitchin's End of Days. The capture and removal of Marduk from Babylon had geopolitical repercussions shifting from several centuries of the center of gravity from Mesopotamia westward to the lands along the Mediterranean Sea. In religious terms, it was the equal of a tectonic earthquake. In one blow, all the great expectations by Marduk for all gods to be gathered under his aegis, and all the messianic expectations by his followers were gone like a puff of smoke. But both geopolitically and religiously, the greatest impact can be summed up as the story of three mountains, the three space-related sites that put the promised land in the midst of it all: Mount Sinai, Mount Moriah, and Mount Lebanon. Of all the events that follow the unprecedented occurrence in Babylon, the central and most lasting one was the Israelite exodus from Egypt, when for the first time sites that until then were the gods alone were entrusted to people. When the Hittites who took Marduk captive withdrew from Babylon, they left behind political disarray and a religious enigma. How could that happen? Why did it happen? When bad things happened to people, they would say that the gods were angry. So what now that bad things happened to gods, to Marduk? Was there a god supreme to the supreme god? In Babylon itself, the eventual release and return of Marduk did not provide an answer. Karandash. But little else is known about them or their original language. To this day, it is not clear where they came and why their kings were allowed to replace the Hammurabi dynasty circa 1660 BCE and to dominate Babylon from 1560 BCE until 1160 BCE. Modern scholars speak of the period that followed Marduk's humiliation as a dark age in Babylonian history, not only because of disarray it caused, but mainly because of the paucity of written Babylonian records from that time. The Kassites quickly integrated themselves under kings known as Hyksos. Here, too, it is not certain who they were, from where they came, or how it was that their dynasties were able to rule Egypt for more than 2 centuries. The dates of this second intermediate period, with its many obscure aspects, parallel the dates of Babylon's slide from the peak of Hammurabi's victories, 1760 BCE, to the capture and resumption of Marduk's worship in Babylon, circa 1560 BCE, is probably neither accident nor coincidence. Those similar developments at parallel times in Marduk's principal lands happened because Marduk was hoisted by his own petard. The very justification for his claim to supremacy was now causing his undoing. The petard was Marduk's own contention that the time for his supremacy on earth had arrived because in the heavens the age of the ram, his age, had arrived. But as the zodiacal clock kept ticking, the age of the ram started to slowly slip away. The physical evidence from those perplexing times still exists and can be seen in Thebes, the ancient Egyptian capital of Upper Egypt. I believe that's where the Temple of Hathor is. Apart from the pyramids at Giza, the ancient Egyptians called it the city of Amon, for it was to this unseen god that those temples were dedicated. The hieroglyphic writing and the pictorial depictions on their walls, obelisks, pylons, and columns glorified the god and praised the pharaohs who built it, enlarged and expanded and kept changing the temples. It was there that the arrival of the age of the ram was announced by the rows of ram-headed sphinxes. And it is there that the very layout of the temples reveals the secret quandary of Egypt's followers of Ra, Amun, Marduk. One time, visiting the sites with a group of fans, I stood in the midst of a temple waving my hands as a traffic policeman. Amazed onlookers wondered, who is this nut? But I was trying to point out to my group the fact that the Thebes temples, built by a succession of pharaohs, kept changing their orientation. It was Sir Norman Lockyer who, in the 1890s, first grasped the significance of this architectural aspect, giving it a rise to a discipline called archaeoastronomy. Bear with me, folks. I'm stuttering a little bit. Just I'm still getting over this cold. I'm getting over it. It's just, just like Solomon's Temple in Jerusalem and the old St. Peter's Basilica at the Vatican in Rome faced permanently east, welcoming sunrise on equinox day year after year without reorientation. But temples oriented to the solstices, like Egypt's temples in Thebes or China's Temple of Heaven in Beijing, needed periodic reorientation because due to precession where the sun rises on solstice day shifts ever so slightly over the centuries, as can be illustrated by Stonehenge, where Lockyer applied his findings. The very temples that Ra, Marduk's followers, had erected to glorify him were showing that the heavens were uncertain about the durability of the god and his age. Marduk himself, so aware of the zodiacal clock when he had claimed in the previous millennia that his time had arrived, tried to shift the religious focus by introducing the star religion of Marduk is Nibiru. But his capture and humiliation now raise questions regarding the unseen celestial god. The question, until when will the age of Marduk last, changed to the question, if celestially Marduk is the unseen Nibiru, when will it reveal itself, reappear, and return? So again, as we said the other night, what we've been told as the return of the, we're all going to be his worshipers. Hey, I said it once, I say it again. Somebody call fucking Snake Plissken. Get fucking Snake Plissken on the phone. I know he wasn't Snake Plissken in the Stargate movie, but still. Get that fucker on the phone. Tell him we got Raws coming back. We need the big guns brought out for this. Oh, man. As unfolding events showed, both the religious and the geopolitical focus shifted in the middle of the second millennium BCE to the stretch of land that the Bible called Canaan. As the return of Nibiru, Marduk, started to emerge as the religious focus, the space-related sites also emerged into sharper focus, and it was in the geographic Canaan where both the landing place and the erstwhile Mission Control Center were located. Historians tell the ensuing events in terms of the rise and fall of nation-states and the clash of empires. It was circa 1460 BCE that the forgotten kingdoms of Elam and Anshan, later known as Persia, east and southeast of Babylonia, probably no coincidence that about at the same time a powerful state arose in the Euphrates region where Mary had once dominated. There, the biblical Horites, scholars call them Hurrians, formed a powerful state called Mitanni, the weapon of Anu, which captured the lands that are now Syria and Lebanon and posed a geopolitical and religious challenge to Egypt. That challenge was countered most ferociously by Egypt's pharaoh Tutmosis III, whom historians describe as an Egyptian Napoleon. Intertwined with all that was the Israelite exodus from Egypt. That period seminal event, if for no other reason than due to... Listen to that. Let me say that one more time. Let me slow it because I said that kind of fast. Its timing was not accidental. For all those developments related to the issue of who shall control the space-related sites when Nibiru's return will occur. Nibiru being Ra or Marduk. So, my God, that just wrapped up all religion, everything you need to know about all world religion right there, didn't it, folks? Intertwined with all that was the Israelite exodus from Egypt. That period's seminal event, if for no other reason than due to its lasting effects to this day on mankind's religions, social and moral codes, and the centrality of Jerusalem. Its timing was not accidental. For all those they have the divine right to rule, want to be in those positions of power, to control those space-related sites when Nibiru, a.k.a. Ra, Marduk, returns. So I guess whoever controls those sites gets to have some semblance of power, and whoever doesn't is going to be, crushed and seen as inferior. So, well, I get it now. My God, that just makes the whole fucking world system become a lot clearer, doesn't it? That's why they want to rebuild the temple and all this shit, man. That's why all these right-wingers and, my God, Tim LaHaye and the CMP and all this, and this is why they tell you not to look into this stuff. All this religious nonsense and chosen people stuff has been about who gets to be in control when the God comes back. And they water it down and don't give you the context. My goodness. That's just all so clear to me now, folks. As was shown in previous chapters, Abraham did not just happen to become a Hebrew patriarch, but was a chosen participant in major international affairs in the places where his tale took us. Haran, Egypt, Canaan, Jerusalem, the Sinai, Sodom and Gomorrah were principal sites of the universal story of God's in Exodus as just an Israelite story. clearly placed in it the context of Egyptian history and the international events of the time. The Hebrew Bible opens the story of the Israelite exodus from Egypt in its second book, Exodus, by reminding the reader that the Israelite presence in Egypt began when Jacob, who was renamed Israel by an angel. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Like Ram, Israel, Emmanuel. And his other 11 sons joined Jacob's son Joseph in Egypt in 1833 BCE. The full story of how Joseph separated from his family, rose from being a slave to the rank of a viceroy, and how he saved Egypt from a devastating famine is told by the Bible. Those times were also gone. A new dynasty came into power, and there arose a new king over Egypt who knew not Joseph. Accordingly, or rather accurately, the Bible describes the change of government in Egypt. The dynasties of the Middle Kingdom based in Memphis were gone, and after the disarray of the Second Intermediate Period, the princes of Thebes launched the dynasty of the New Kingdom. Indeed, there arose entirely new kings over Egypt, new dynasties, and a new capital, and they knew not Joseph. Forgetting the Israelite contribution to Egypt's survival, a new pharaoh now saw danger in their presence. Biblical scholars have assumed all along that the feared nation of the children of Israel were the Israelites sojourning in Egypt. But this is in accord with neither the numbers given nor with the literal wording in the Bible. Exodus begins with a list of the names of Jacob and his children who had come with their children to join Joseph in Egypt, and states that all of those who descended from the loins of Jacob, for the identity of that Pharaoh and of the Pharaoh's daughter who raised Moses as her son. The narrative's wording record the Pharaoh's fear that at a time of war, the Israelites will join our enemies and fight against us and leave the land. It is not a fear of a fifth column inside Egypt, but of Egypt's indignant children of Israel leaving to reinforce an enemy nation to whom they are all related, all of them being, in Egyptian eyes, children of Israel. But what other nations of children of Israel and what war was the Egyptian king talking about? Thanks to archaeological discoveries of royal records from both sides of those ancient conflicts and the synchronization of their contents, we now know that the New Kingdom pharaohs were engaged in prolonged warfare against the Mitanni, starting around circa 1560 BC with the pharaohs Moses, continued by the pharaohs Amenephis, Tutmosis, and Thothmosis II, and intensifying under Thothmosis III through 1460 BCE. Egyptian armies thrust into Canaan and advanced northwards against Mitanni. The Egyptian chronicles of those battles frequently mention Naharaim as the ultimate target, the Kabur River area, which was in the Bible called the western land of the two rivers, the Aram Naharaim. Its principal urban center was Haran. It was there, biblical students will recall, that Abraham's brother Nahor stayed on when Abraham proceeded to Canaan. It was from there that Rebekah, the bride of Abraham's son Isaac, came, and she was in fact the granddaughter of Nahor. It was to Haran that Isaac's son Jacob, renamed Israel, went to find a bride and ended up marrying his cousins, the two daughters, Leah and Rachel of Laban, the brother of his mother Rebekah. These direct family ties between the children of Israel, i.e. of Jacob, who were in Egypt, and those who stayed on in the Naharaim are highlighted in the very first verses in Exodus. The list of the sons of Jacob who had come to Egypt with him includes the youngest in the Kabur River area were called Ben-Yamins, where the name Benjamin comes from. The name of Joseph's full brother was thus a Mitannian tribe name. No wonder, then, that the Egyptians considered the children of Israel in Egypt and the children of Israel in Mitanni as one combined nation, greater and mightier than us. That was the war the Egyptians were preoccupied with, and that was the reason for the Egyptian military concern. Not the small number of Israelites in Egypt if they stayed, but a threat if they left the land and occupied territory to the north. And the purpose of the Exodus, in the words of the biblical God himself, to keep his sworn promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob to grant to their descendants as an everlasting heritage. Exodus 6, book 4:8, from the brook of Egypt to the river Euphrates, the great river, the whole of the land of Canaan, the western mount, the land of Canaan, and Lebanon, from the desert to see, this is it's very interesting because this is the same type of stuff that you had Zeus by Queen Semiramis, this big stone in Iran. No shit. The promise to Abraham was renewed at the Israelites' first stop at the Har Ha Elohim, Mount of the Elohim gods. And the mission was to take hold, possess the two other space-related sites, which the Bible repeatedly connected, as in Psalms 48:3, calling Mount Zion in Jerusalem Har Kadashi, my sacred mount, and the other on the crest of Lebanon, Har Zaphon, the secret north mount. The Promised Land clearly embraced both space-related sites. Its division among the 12 tribes granted the area of Jerusalem to the tribes of Benjamin and Judea, and the territory that is now Lebanon to the tribe of Asher. In his parting words to the tribes before he died, Moses reminded the tribe of Asher that the northern space-related site was in their land. Like no other tribe, he said, they will see the rider of the clouds soaring heavenwards. Deuteronomy 33:26. Apart from the territorial assignment, the words of Moses imply that the site would be functional and used for a soaring heavenward in the future. Yeah, fucking spaceport. Clearly and most emphatically, the children of Israel were to be the custodians of the two remaining space-related sites of the Anunnaki. That covenant with the people chosen for the task was renewed at that greatest theophany on record at Mount Sinai. It was certainly not by chance that the theophany occurred there from the very beginning of the Exodus tale. When God called out to Moses and gave him the Exodus assignment, that place in the Sinai Peninsula occupied center stage. We read in Exodus 3:1 that it happened at the Mount of the Elohim, the mountain associated with the Anunnaki. The route of the Exodus was divinely determined, the Israelite multitude having been shown the way by a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. The children of Israel journeyed into the wilderness of Sinai on the Mount Sinai in full view of all the people. Yeah, the motherfucker came out of the goddamn spaceship. I mean, ever since I was a kid, dude, every fucking year on Easter, what do they show on TV? Every fucking year, no fail. 10 Commandments, right? Okay, this year, if it comes on TV, watch that shit. And watch the part where Moses goes to get the fucking 10 Commandments, which, by the way, studies came out several years ago saying that he was most likely on DMT when all that happened. Yeah, there was all the alkaloids for it around there. So he, had some fucking DMT and was tripping balls. But ever since I was a little kid, man, when he's going up there, they show Mount Sinai, and it's like, old technology, but it's glowing red and smoking. It looks like there's a fucking spaceship up there. I can remember when I was a little kid going, look, there's a spaceship up there. Shut up. Smacked him side of the head. It's not a goddamn spaceship. Oh, man. It was a goddamn spaceship. So many things. There were so many things that I have such as memory, but there were so many things when I was a kid. I used to say, hey, Pat Sajak's drunk on TV. No, he's not drunk. This is a good show. Smash to grown-ups when I was a kid, and they'd be like, you're stupid. What would make you think that? That's retarded. And then I get older and find out, wait a minute, I was right about that. Remember, kids, if there are any kids out there listening to this show, which I doubt it, but if there are kids, remember, adults don't always know everything. They may tell you they do. They're wrong. They don't always know everything. Don't listen to them. If you think you're right about something, stand up for yourself. It was at this same mount that Gilgamesh, arriving at the place where the rocket ships ascended and descended, had called Mount Mashu. It was with the same mount that the double doors to heaven to which Egyptian pharaohs went in their afterlife journey to join the gods on the planet of millions of years. It was the mount astride the erstwhile spaceport, and it was there that the covenant was renewed with the people chosen to be the guardians of the two remaining space-related sites. After the Israelites were preparing after the death of Moses to cross the Jordan River, the boundaries of the Promised Land were restated to the new leader, Joshua. Embracing the locations of the space-related sites, the boundaries emphatically included Lebanon. Speaking to Joshua, the biblical God said, "Now arise and cross this Jordan, thou and all this people, the children of Israel, unto the land which I do give to them. Every place the soles of your feet shall tread upon have I given to you, just as I have spoken to Moses, from the desert to the Lebanon, and from the great river, the river Euphrates, in the country of the Hittites, unto the great. One must point out a caveat inserted by the biblical God in regard to the promised land. The boundaries running from the wilderness in the south to the Lebanon range in the north, and from the Euphrates in the east to the Mediterranean Sea in the west, were reconfirmed to Joshua. These, God said, were the promised boundaries, but to become an actual land grant, it had to be obtained by possession, akin to the planting of the flag by explorers in the recent past. The Israelites could possess and keep. You'll be able to hear it now. I got to get off of here, man. That's all I can do tonight because I've got to be up early and on for 2 hours with Henry Palmgren tomorrow. But thanks to everybody out there for being patient. We're definitely under attack again. I don't know when this is going to stop. Hopefully they're going to be doing this when I'm doing my interview tomorrow. Oh, it's going to piss me off. Frustrating. Anyway, support us if you can, folks. We need some support this week. Donations have been slim lately, and we need your help if we're going to continue. So please go to my website, theglobalreality.com, make a donation, the chip and banner, the donate button today, and help us out if you can. We'll see you tomorrow. My name is Josh Reeves. I love each and every one of you, and you guys have a good one. Take care.